How's it going, buffoons? So most JToH fans are aware of the ever-growing quality of JToH towers and the standards of the curation team. It seems like every single update, the towers just get better and better. This can be accredited to a variety of factors, but in this video, I'm going to be going over all of the in-game towers throughout JToH history that truly revolutionized tower development forever. Anyways, go ahead and subscribe, because I just love watching meaningless internet numbers increment upwards. Before we can get into anything else, the most influential tower ever made is easily Tower of Heck. Developed by Kitty Cannon, who changed his name to Oberntune, then recently changed it to Full Pine Digital, and then changed his name back to Oberntune, and then changed his display name to MRV. Like, oh my god, just pick a name for once. Holy sh**. Sorry about that. Anyways, wow! If you didn't know, Tower of Heck was the first tower ever made. The tower itself was released in March of 2018, with the place for it being made on June 6th of 2016. At the time, it was named Tower of Hell, but when Kitty's Towers of Hell got a temporary name change to Kitty's Towers of Heck, Tower of Heck had its name changed accordingly and then never reverted. This tower revolutionized the obbying scene on Roblox by sparking a very popular game which we now know as Juke's Towers of Hell. Tower of Heck also inspired the immensely popular obby game, Tower of Hell. Now there's a game you've definitely heard of. Oberntune himself actually helped create the game, and if you play it yourself, you can see many of the floors have been made by him. Despite being the first tower ever made, it surprisingly isn't even the worst. Compared to the rest of the Ring 1 towers, Tower of Heck holds up pretty well, actually. This could partially be why JToH originally got popular, since obbying challenges back then consisted mainly of nonsense like jumping from one ball to another, with the most creative obstacles being like a red brick that just kills you instantly. When you look at the JToH kit, which we nowadays take for granted, and see objects like swinging platforms, spinners, conveyor belts, and many more, it's not hard to imagine why hobbyists who seek the challenge would flock to Obertune's tower. At the start, Tower of Heck was a very hard tower, with only the best players being able to complete it. Nowadays, we know it as a mid-hard tower that most players beat before unlocking Ring 3. Since obbies back then were generally in short stages with checkpoints between, hobbyists were not used to the prospect of needing to complete hundreds of jumps in a row without falling. This made the difficulty of the tower too much for many players. If you were to take a look and compare Tower of Heck to modern towers that we see in-game today, it's easy to just say that Tower of Heck sucks buns and then call it a day. But do know that none of your beloved towers would exist if not for this decrepit obby of old. If you're still interested in seeing this tower's complicated history, then be sure to watch Logan ISL's JToH Before the Rings after this video if you haven't already. But right now, we're in ninjabellybutt land, and ninjabellybutt can't bear to talk about this old tower for any longer. Tower of Confusion by It Near, or It Nice at the time, is an extreme tower located in Ring 3. In September of 2018, this tower was the first soul-crushing ever made. Despite being in the fourth tower ever implemented into the game, Tower of Confusion still revolutionized difficulty in towers. It used to be Godspeed difficulty, the bygone name for an old difficulty that was basically just any soul-crushing. Nowadays, we have the four difficulties: Insane, Extreme, Terrifying, and Catastrophic, but back then, they just put SCs into Godspeed. Even before Godspeed existed, Tower of Confusion was just Peak Remorseless, a difficulty which was just known as question mark back then. In this day and age, we know Tower of Confusion to be a low extreme tower. Goose 4000 was the first person to ever beat Tower of Confusion legit without using bootleg coil, which was allowed at the time, making him the first ever soul-crushing tower victor. This was also the first ever tower to have more than one side. This started an obnoxious trend which led to towers like Tower of Wanting Extra Levels, Tower of Double Trouble, and Tower of Strategic Mechanics, in which the towers have multiple different sides and get really long. Tower of Inception was the first ever wacky frame tower. Yet another Godspeed tower, the classic version of the Tower of Difficulty chart, was a tower in which each floor represents one difficulty. It starts out on the easy difficulty with easy jumps, then medium, hard, difficult, challenging, intense, remorseless, terrifying, catastrophic, and finally the removed difficulty, nil. The tower is known for being very bad in general. It spams thin studs, wall hops, and very fast conveyors for an overall quite bad experience. This tower was released at the same time as the difficulty Godspeed, being the second tower in it next to Tower of Confusion. Tower of Difficulty chart was also the first ever hidden tower, which created a trend for soul-crushing towers to be hidden somewhere in the lobby. This is the tradition which we see still used in new area releases today. Tower of Difficulty chart also gave birth to the tremendously popular Difficulty chart obby trend, in which pretty much everybody had their own obby with progressively harder stages. Most difficulty chart obbies were admittedly pretty bad and had very basic gameplay, but the good difficulty chart obbies were so easy to get lost in for a few hours and push the limits of your own skill. Playing difficulty chart obbies is a very good way to train yourself as well. Speaking of training, after about 3 years of non-stop whining and complaining from the community, Near teamed up with Lightsynth and Chloe to revamp the tower once and for all. The revamp was generally well received by the community, but still had a few difficulty inconsistencies, which are forgivable. Tower of Ancient Trickery is our first non-soul-crushing tower on this list. How about that? It may not be very tricky, but it sure is ancient. When Ring 3 first released in November 2018, Tower of Ancient Trickery was the first ever themed tower, an idea that was unheard of at the time. A rule was recently revoked, the rule stating that towers must have all bricks be the same color as the floor they're on, and Coats Ultimate used this new opportunity to make the first ever themed tower. The actual theme of this tower itself is rather ambiguous, but the quality of it compared to other Ring 3 towers is undeniable. While most other towers just use normal stud platforms with stuff from the JToH kit, Tower of Ancient Trickery used neons, point lights, particles, and other effects to generate a spooky kind of atmosphere. Because of this, it was given the first ever design star. The idea of a themed tower was very influential at the time, and Tower of Ancient Trickery was certainly not the last one to mess with it. Towers like Floral Fury, Atlantic Depths, Extraterrestrial Enchantment, and many, many more. TOAT's novel design choices still influence tower development as we know it today, because, well, people are still making themed towers. Being a Ring 3 tower, the gameplay is nothing spectacular. But who knows where we would be today if a tower like the Tower of Ancient Trickery was never made. A more modern example, and perhaps a more popular one, is the Tower of Really Nasty Ideas by Blockerman666 and Amos. When this tower got reviewed and players saw it for the first time, the community was astounded. The tower looks menacing and intimidating from the outside, but on the inside it is filled to the brim with satisfying yet demanding gameplay on every floor. Getting a full 30 out of 30 points on the Curator review, this tower was like nothing the community had ever seen. This was the first ever tower in the history of JToH to get a perfect 30 out of 30 score, as well as the gold star that goes with it. Even today, Blockerman and Amos are still out there making some of JToH's best towers. Their other in-game towers include Tower of Broken Bricks, Tower of Cracked Crushed Cubes, Tower of Shifting Slopes, and Tower of Unhealthy Escalation, so shout out to those guys. Tower of Really Nasty Ideas also helped popularize the annoying modernism trend, which really blew up from mid-late 2019 to early 2020. Even players today still praise the tower for its gameplay and design, which hold up quite well to today's standards. Not to mention, this tower also effectively utilizes beat blocks in a way that is both fun and fair. Even towers these days still struggle with that. Now it's time for a few honorable mentions. These are towers that are still influential, but weren't necessarily the first of their kind in a meaningful way. Tower of Orientating Oscillating Opinions is a legendary tower made in late 2019 by Kronku. This tower uses a lot of spinners and cylinders, to the point where the entire frames of floors 9 and 10 both spin. This tower is, and always was, wildly popular in the community, being considered a near-perfect tower in almost every capacity. It has gotten every single star except for the gold star, and got a perfect 30 out of 30 on its second review. Gold star doesn't even mean 30 out of 30 score anymore, since reviews no longer have the old number scoring system. This tower's gameplay is creative, quirky, fun, and the design on this tower is ridiculously good looking and charming. It's hard to not get immersed in this tower when seemingly every inch of it holds a design or detail. I know I'm sounding like I'm an annoying JTard Kronku sim, but you gotta understand. This Ring 7 tower from late 2019 still's up to today's standards, and would most likely still get in game even if it was submitted in 2021. This tower also helped push modernism into the mainstream. Kronku even made a sequel called Tower of Astronomically Aimless Annoyances, which is in Zone 4 today. TOAAA is also an amazing tower, but since it is a soul-crushing, it's pretty annoying to grind through from what I've heard. As much as you hate to see it, I'm gonna have to put Tower of Traps here. It helped influence people to learn what not to do in making a tower, and also included the first ever buttons. I'm not going to waste your time praising this tower because it is easily one of the worst towers ever made. Please don't try to make a tower like this. Traps aren't cool unless they're forgiving and or funny. If Tower of Insult to Injury pranks you, then Tower of Traps just bullies you. It's like that kid who trips you while you're walking and then says, "It's just a prank, bro, dude, chill." Thanks for watching my dumb video. I hope you enjoyed. Like the video and subscribe to help me out. Watch some of my other videos, blah blah blah, you get it now, bye.